Okay, so this call is for the Global Alliance of Modern Day Alchemists, which I started at the end of May this year. And I'm loving it. I'm having a real ball with it. Great people, great stuff. We're doing lots of things. It's fantastic. So today's call is redesigning the world, which I have a particular interest in because it so needs to be redesigned. And there is a lot is happening, a lot is moving in that regards of redesign. We host a murmuration of maestros groups where we do breakthroughs and consciousness innovation work and bringing new possibilities into reality, that kind of thing. So I'll talk about some of those. But I think there are other people around the world doing stuff like that too. But it's very interesting because as the old reality starts to kind of crumble a bit around the world. Um, I don't yet see too many people looking at how do you just redesign the whole fabric of us? And yet it does seem to be happening anyways. Hi, Bobby. Hey, great to have you with us. Where are you located, Bobby? Are you in the UK? No? Whereabouts?
New Mexico, US.
Oh, fantastic. Wow. Oh, we got people from all over the world then. New Zealand, Norway, US, UK. Fantastic. That's exciting. I saw your post, your comment on the post. It was wonderful. I loved it. So maybe you can talk about that at some point. So I was just saying I'm recording this to share it kind of publicly. So, just so you're aware. Okay, so redesigning the world. If you come to want to look at how it can be made different, we're all progressing in many, many ways. To some degree, some of that is happening, I almost want to say naturally or instinctively with people. I find so many people are just like getting there or getting someplace, but couldn't quite describe how they arrived there. Some of it is naturally in them, maybe was always there, and some of it is we're learning new ways of being in the world. So if you want to redesign any facet of the world, then you have to look at the source of where it is now and what's causing the problem. So, for example, I think we're moving from a population generally of unconscious or constricted by ways and means and beliefs and, how life is created when we're born into it to through consciously aware to being super conscious. And I think a lot of us are starting to be super conscious now. And the more of us that are super conscious, the more everyone elevates and moves up in possibility. Are any of you, have you all experienced that in yourself, like moving in, whether it's from unconscious or conscious, into a sense of super conscious awareness? Yeah? No?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
Colin? Lynn? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I see you're nodding. Kelly, yes, I know she is. Um, So one of the things that we've done so I'm going to work through a few things and then we're going to play. We're going to create some new possibilities and breakthroughs together. So some of the things we've done in the Murmuration of Maestros groups is first let's talk about intelligence. So where I was a very normal kid with normal intelligence, like nothing special, but okay. And then I began to be aware of sensory energetic intelligence, and then began to be aware of a kind of universal or greater intelligence. And so what we did in the Maestros group is we fused the intelligences of ourselves, all the life forms, whales, bees, trees, mycelium networks, nature, earth, universe, into a singular, collectively fused new version of intelligence. And that for me has shown up like I don't think so much inside here anymore. my thinking is kind of here. I'm more sensory, knowing, understanding at a greater, it just kind of comes naturally to me now. And so what we do in the Meister script is we can make that available to everyone as a way of being. And I think yesterday or today, saw somebody put a post in saying that scientists are now believing that all intelligence in all people is fused to all other intelligence. I was like, rock on. Like that's fantastic news that science is kind of catching up to. We're not just individual linear logical brain thinking anymore, that we can access a kind of a more greater and infinite intelligence. So that's one of them. Yeah, yeah, effortless knowing. Yeah, I call it effortless knowing in a way too. I don't think I use the word effortless on it, but yes, Bobby, that would be, I talk about it as a greater knowing and understanding. And it's just available. It used to be, if I go back decades, where I would have to work my way to a greater understanding. But now it's just there. The rest of you have a sense of that as well? Yeah, I know Kelly does. And I
Yeah.
think Colin, you do too, don't you? It sounds like Bobby does too. So
Sure,
it,
yeah.
it's evolving, and probably through many people's relationships with it and many people's work, it's evolving all the time. And it's why I don't think I can ever say, this is the way it is, this is the truth, this is the, because everything's constantly going to next levels and changing. So even when I talk about this intelligence, who knows? It could take a whole new leap. Next thing we know, and then that won't any longer be the trueness of it either. You see what I mean? So if all of life has access to a greater understanding, bigger picture, looking at things, then it makes us less reactive, more accepting, I think, of differences, a celebration of uniqueness in people, and a respect for unique genius. I think all that comes from the elevation and evolution of intelligence. So that's an example of one facet where you can redesign the world from, instead of logical intelligence, to a kind of universal greater understanding and knowing. So it's exciting, isn't it? Yeah. Anybody want to say anything about that or add anything to it? Nope. Okay.
I would just say that part of what I'm experiencing, I think, is what Santari, it's what Santari has talked about quite a bit in the past several calls. And it's not necessarily that I am having many opportunities to experience that because I'm not very much in the world right now. I'm ensconced in a little bit of family caretaking and drama for the past 6 weeks. But I have a very aware sense that that's what's available now. Like that's the deal. Like there is nothing to do but show up.
Yeah.
Like if that like I don't know, like I feel like it's just there for me now to just show up. I don't have to think, I don't have to plan. Whatever I do in that moment is going to be it and the thing that is required to transform in that moment. Does
Yes.
that make sense?
Absolutely. Made
And
sense.
I don't think again, I'm not very much out there in the world doing that now, but I have a very strong sense of that's my deal now. That's who I am now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched Kelly move through this in 2, 3 years, really. Hey, Judy, great to have you with us. We're just talking about redesigning the world. So Judy's in Canada, by the way, so we just added another country to us.
I love that. We're just talking about redesigning the world.
Yes, we
Is
are.
that all?
So I was covering how how intelligence has altered into a greater understanding and knowing and a sense of collaborative, collective intelligence, much more so, and present and available for everyone to access. So that's one of the things we were just talking about. And I think what Kelly was just talking about, I experienced this too. My first response now to everything is, what's the greater potential of this? Where is it trying, no matter what it is, where is it trying to point me towards? Anybody else experiencing that in yourself now too? Yeah. See, it catches fire in us somehow. It spreads in our consciousness, in our ways of being together, and it gets picked up by so many people, and it's just there, I think. So yeah, and that's another piece where years ago, if I needed to figure the greater potential, especially if I was coaching for somebody, I'd have to go, let me just look. What might that be? I'd have to really make an effort to go and find it. Now it just is so clear and present and obvious that that's what it's a kind of first response now, which is so different from 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, especially. It's really come along quite beautiful. So the other thing we've been at work on, another piece. So there's a lot of talk about climate change and what we do to nature and the forests and the land and the soil and I have a great respect for all of that. But what we did in the Meisters group, I believe there is a somewhat dormant miraculousness in everyone and everything that's living. And nature has always been quite miraculous. But we unleashed, this was about, what, 2 years ago? Lynn, you might remember. 3 years ago, was it?
It was in 2021, was it? It was during COVID and after.
Yeah, during COVID. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so we unleashed the miraculousness in nature. And nature has, I think, always been kind of sentient and intelligent and amazing and miraculous. But if you unleash the miraculousness in it even more so, everything got greener, flowers got taller, fields got yellower with, flowers, and there's more insects again around here where we are. And there's just a sense of something there that's even more than it was before. Because even same with the bodies. So we've gone through, can we, like whole medical, pharmaceutical, to can we heal ourselves, to is our body miraculous? And how many of you have been at work on that? Oh, that's so interesting. Oh yeah, look at that. Wow, almost all of us. Like that's amazing, isn't it? Like we're all over the world, and yet that's coming to us as a natural instinctive thing. And some of you may have been born knowing that. There are people who were like they were born that way. And I just happen to be not one of them who was born that way. So it's quite fascinating to me that you can unleash a dormant miraculousness in anybody, anything, any life form, and if you notice, one of the things when we did that work of unleashing it, we also, and it's not just us, but uh, up leveled the sentient relationship to animals, nature, earth, universe, stars, all of oceans. And if you followed Veda Austin's work on water, the intelligence of water, I mean, that just like, wow, blows you away. But if you look at animals today and all the videos we're seeing, there's an intelligence that's so brilliant to witness and to be in relationship with. Kelly and Judy both have dogs that are like extraordinary beings, aren't they? Yeah, both of them. Amazing. And it's extraordinary to witness this whole elevation of our own relationship with it. Because I remember back it was probably in the late 1960s, 1990s or early 2000s, the woman who did the animal communication with the panther. Do you remember that? Anybody saw that? Yeah, and that was
Yeah.
like a breakthrough in general awareness of animal sentiency, animal intelligence, animal communication. But now we're in a whole different level of it. And the more we are that, the more the world is being redesigned around us, the more we orient from that place. Because the old reality is based on separation and distance from nature, from animals, from, universe, from all of those kind of things. But a new design isn't just connected. We've been working on a kind of this fusion of beingness, this fusion of intelligence, this respect for the sentiency of all life. It's one, and that is spreading around the world, I think now, in a way. And it's not just that we created a breakthrough in consciousness, but we live it. We each are living it in our own lives. It's a real practical thing, how we relate to animals. And I know, talk to leaves on trees, for heaven's sakes. It's like I would have never, ever thought I was going to do that. But now I do. I just can't help myself at the moment. And Centaur and I walk the moat up at the Bishop's Palace almost every day, and there's 36 ducks, and we're talking to the ducks, and it's like it's such a different way of being, and I think that's catching around the world. And yet it's so different now than it used to be. I think before, because I was one of those concrete jungle people working in a corporation at one point in time, hadn't even been in nature for years and years. And then now it's like, ooh, it's a whole different relationship. And I think that's moving in the world. And nature is a partner to it, and the animals are a partner to it, and the universe is a partner to it, or whatever source, creator, whatever relationship we have with that is a partner to it. So the other thing that's happening in a redesign is the embodiment of our greater or infinite or source or creator beings. So how many of you have experienced that? The embodiment of that? Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, I think if I go back 20, 25, 30 years ago, it wasn't even a dream I had, a possibility. It was something I was barely aware of. And now it's embodied in so many of us. And and what happens now is we are each in our own way doing extraordinary things. Like Bobby, you wrote that comment into the post I put in about what you're doing. Do you want to share that? Because I thought that was just fascinating what you're doing.
I'm happy to share it. I think I copied it onto a document so I can find it because it's one of those things like uh, you say it and then it like it's in the moment, it's true, it's alive, it's embodied, and totally forgotten the next moment. So I don't even know what I said, but I do recall um, feeling like um, we're using just ever so slightly different language
Yeah.
that is so resonant and aligned. And I have put down roots as a cross pollinator. So I think probably some of us would recognize that as a superpower that has been perhaps hidden, perhaps more overt.
Yep.
But I have roots now in the Alchemists, which hasn't been used in that word exactly for
Yeah.
my other groups, but metaphysics. I'm on the final path of ordination as a high priestess, and I am exploring the world of mystic witches. And those
Oh,
are just
wonderful.
three of the big things that are part of what I'm doing. And I am experiencing these overlaps that are not only like, oh, well, this group is studying a goddess from Crete this month. And oh my goodness, this other group is, we're starting a journey. We're starting on ancient Crete. This is the Cretan goddess that we're studying. This journey is through Crete. Oh, there was my personal 2019 journey to Crete. And oh, by the way, reading um, uh, the Great Cosmic Mother book, which was like just overlapping all of this. So you see the little intersections, um, is this whole history of what the culture that women created
Yeah.
that, over a few thousand years, after hundreds of thousands of years, has been diminished, destroyed, and we're doing it again.
Yeah.
We're going to do this again. So it's like I've found a new soul family here. I'm so excited.
I'm
I
going to
will,
read. Can I read what you wrote?
please do.
So she quoted something I had said, and she said, it's been my focus to create a fluidly stable and grounded presence with a capital P. Um, Personally, that radiates this as proxy to open the portals to the already present, flourishing, and living earth in the flows of the one life, where alchemy, mysticism, metaphysics, and fluid practicality meet. There you'll find me. I thought, wowzer, that's like amazing. Absolutely amazing. When I read it, I just thought that, and that's what's happening. Instead of I think we're moving from, I call it alchemy, but you could call it anything you want. It doesn't have to have a particular name on it, you know. But we're moving from powerlessness to a creational capacity to make reality move and elevate and evolve and happen. And we're doing that in expansive ways. So instead of, you know, we've got our own unique individual field and it's separate from every other field, we're interwoven and we can become the whole of the field or the universe or the reality or whatever you want to call it and do amazing things with it. And each of us is doing those in such unique and different ways. All of us between like so different. It's quite extraordinary. I see Kelly and Bobby are having a wonderful chat. I love it. So the fabric of us as beings walking around loving life on planet Earth is elevating and evolving rapidly. Like I can hear it's week after week now, whereas it used to be year after year. I would see big changes. It's now week after week, maybe even day after day sometimes. And yes, there are, solar flares, there's the Schumann resonance, there's new vibrational frequency coming in from the universe. But I also think we're learning to be creators of a world. And with new skills and powers and ability and mastery about that in a way that is quite breathtaking. So, one of the things I say is this new ability to create is filled with joy. It's like there's so much, when you come to this space to turn the world out, there's so much joy in it. And there's so much kind of innovative creation in it.
So
And
Laura, it's almost as if you need to have that joy alive to be able
yeah,
to connect. So the joy is in it, but the joy in us is, yeah. And just
yeah,
to remember that, I love what you're saying, because just to remember, oh, that's why I love being around kids, right? They haven't lost the fact that joy is innate for us and
yeah,
play is innate for us. And it's like when you do that, boom. I love it. Thank you.
yeah. The other piece is awe and wonder. So it's not like we know everything and we're going to turn this out. It's more like, oh my God, isn't that incredible? Like, and there's a kind of breathtaking awe to it. And then you create a relationship with it might be possibility, it might be the universe, it might be source, it might be the earth or oceans or trees or forests or, whatever. And from that place, movement happens. And when movement happens, we go with it. So we're becoming the sources of it, but actually we're also in partnership with whatever is sourcing it. But we're learning to become creators at the same time. So exciting, huh?
Can I add one item about joy? And this is from some of my other learnings, is in tapping into, I mean, my work includes tapping into the one I call Infinite Mother, and the purpose. Her original template is for all life to flourish, and our contribution,
Yeah,
our greatest contribution is that joy, wonder, and awe. I mean,
I think
that's
so too.
what we're here for.
Yeah,
And so I'm so excited to, you know, find people who are amplifying that frequency, because that's what's going to make a difference and ripple, ripple, ripple outward from there.
absolutely. It raises you into a very high vibrational frequency. So Centauri just disappeared from one room and appeared in this one. I love it when you get those backgrounds and you just suddenly like teleport into another room, right? There you go. So I thought maybe we'd play with some things, like some really practical things in the world and how we move, how we do a redesign to elevate and evolve and take the world to new possibilities. Sound good? Okay. So in order to do that, I really believe I said this at the beginning, you have to go to the source of what's causing the problem. So let's take an example. So somebody give me an example of something you'd like to see different in the world. Anybody?
No more war.
Okay, that's a good one. I like that one. No more war is what we all want, right? I mean, everybody wants that. And yet we haven't got there yet. And of course you could say, oh, set it up so that there's no more guns created and missiles created and bombs created. And oh, you could do that. But if you want to get to the source of it, I think one of the sources of that, in my view, would be the fabric of disconnection. And how do you take the fabric of disconnection and remake it so that connectedness is an instinctive, natural, always thing in every single being on the planet, human and otherwise? And it's part of some of what we've been at work on. So I'm going to ask you to each, if that's the thing you want to work on, you might want to work on something else. So feel free if you want to take a different topic. I'll work on it with Kelly about no more war and anybody else who wants to. So if you look, you just connect to that greater intelligence and you say, what's the source of this that I could understand and maybe create a new possibility for? Okay, so here we go. We'll just tune in and see what we get. And then when you get what the source of it is, make it newly as a breakthrough in consciousness for all beings. And just see what you do when you do that. Okay. Let's see what you got. So, anybody want to share what you got while we were doing that? Lynn, is that you? Yeah, go for it.
I just experienced it was almost like when I went into that space, it just expanded. It was almost like an atomic, it was like my innards opened up and everything was connected. It was almost like this inner explosion. It's
Yeah,
quite powerful.
yeah. It's like an irresistible connectivity. And it's coming from everything, every living creature and
But it
all
was,
of us.
but it was also connected to the knowing that I am everything.
Yes, yes. That's amazing. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, Judy.
The turn for me was a little bit different because what I ended up really working with was separateness in terms of individual. We come into the world still connected to everything. And then I think we need to experience separateness. And every time we experience it and overcome it, I know for me, I grow more, I grow, how can I reconnect? Now, setting good boundaries with people, et cetera, is important. But I think that connectedness, and then um, when I can get past that separateness and tap back into the reconnection. So during the breakthrough, it was really fun. It was as if there was this big council around Earth and many other planets. I have no idea how many they were. And it was if they were in this big pot, like melted gold, but it was like they were sprinkling golden chocolate
Hallelujah.
over, and it was just so fun and playful, and it's like, okay, I'll go with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me too, it was an emergence of and connection to greatness in everyone, in everything. The not just greater purpose, but I think when I say greatness, I mean to be for something profoundly wondrous and epic in some way. Like something like that. I had lunch with a friend yesterday and we were talking about, I said, when I meet people, my first response is always to see them in greatness and magnificence. And she said, I'm always a little bit concerned about your discernment. I said, I get it. And sometimes I get surprised, but that's okay with me. It doesn't do any harm to me. I will always choose greatness and magnificence first because people then show up according to how you relate to them. And sometimes they don't, and in which case I leave them be and they move on and we go our own ways and our own paths kind of thing. But I will always start from there. And that's to me is if the whole world could get that, instead of like protecting ourselves or trying to stay okay within, if we could just be okay with witnessing genius and greatness and uniqueness and respect and a celebration of all beings. I think that's a big deal for the earth. And I think that's growing in us all now. So that's part of it too. Anybody else want to share what you got? Yeah, Kelly.
I got that the source, the greatest source of the disconnection is insecurity and greed. And the solution to that is to replace greed with the highest currency and value and greatest esteem you can have in the world is your level of grace and your gracious giving. And I tried to instill and replace in the hearts of everybody everywhere this sense of graciousness and giving to others.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, absolutely. And you see, when we're doing this, it's not just a thought, it's you're creating a breakthrough in the weave. I call it now the creatrix, it's not matrix anymore. It's a creatrix of life on this world and in the universe. And when we do it, we're not, because we're more expansive and the power of our collectiveness and our universality now, we can put it into the creatrix, into the presence of us all, into the air we breathe. And it starts to show up in people like a ripple. So I was saying to somebody the other day, if I like somebody was talking about should they write a book? Would it make any difference? I said, it doesn't, you write it because it doesn't matter if anybody ever reads it. You've created it in reality. You've put it in consciousness. Someone else will pick it up and do something with it. And that's okay. And if yours gets to be known, great, but it doesn't have to be. You've brought something through and you've placed it into this creatrix of who we are and what we know and where we're going. And that makes the biggest difference. So yeah, beautiful. Yep. Anybody else want to share what you got? Yeah, Colin, and then Bobby.
The what I was seeing when I was looking for the source, I found myself in a almost like a cinema setting where I'm watching reality being projected onto the
Yeah.
screen and realizing that I'm part of that, so that it's actually coming from me as much as it is from the source. So there's a cooperation of me and this. So the current view is, oh my God, look at all the war. So I then went to our new level, our new, this new wonderful beingness, and the perception changed. Did the film change, or did the canvas change, or did both change? But suddenly it's like, oh wow, look at that. It's all changed. It's all different. It's all everybody loves one another, this ideal, lovely, beautiful Garden of Eden. But it wasn't imagination. It was a real feeling of real switch of
Yeah.
perception.
Yeah.
We are looking at that. That's where we're creating that from here.
Yeah.
And we're not replacing the old one. We've just changed the canvas. We're the old one may still be running in somebody's awareness, but in our awareness, it's gone.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we're rippling out. It's
Yeah.
this change of perception. It's because I know we've talked about this before. It's not about replacing what is.
Yeah.
It's different. What we're doing is different. We're moving to another level of awareness. Maybe a new, we talk about 5D, don't we? 3D to 5D. But it's this idea that we're not in the same place now. We're looking at it differently. We're in a different place. We're creating from this new place. And that's the sense I got. And it
Yeah.
just lifted. Oh yeah, look, isn't that marvelous? Wonderful.
Yeah.
It wasn't I didn't try and resolve it. I just it, it just didn't, it wasn't there anymore.
And I happen to know that both you and Lynn and maybe others on the call are what I call mega love people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like you hear the power of love through the universe, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
mine's quite different from that, but that's you guys are like so there's a lot of those people on the planet. And it's becoming more and more powerful to be a mega love being who's pulsing that through everything. It's really quite amazing. So, yeah. Thanks, Colin. Yeah, Bobby.
So my on the part one, um, this knowing that such a connection is instinctive, it's natural, it's present in every being born. And it is then very consciously, socially, culturally, all the things, tamped down, stamped out,
Yeah,
erased. Um, it already is present. And really resonating, Colin, with what you said and the beautiful explosion that Lynn experienced, that embodied knowing of the connection. And so getting to that kind of perception change, seeing the screen, oh, it's a different movie. It's a completely different movie. It's
yeah,
a completely different reality.
yeah,
Is is the turning within. It's the inner space generated, and it's an inner space that is the connection with the outer. So I I just perhaps being unpracticed in your methodology, um, did things, it came out my flavor.
that was
So
beautiful. I could see them, they were nodding away with you. Yeah, because the inner isn't, I think at one point, anyways, for me, if I go back 40 years ago, maybe or more, the inner was an emotional place. It was an emotional, reactive place, and that you tried to keep in check. And now the inner is a vast, connected space to something far beyond uh, our knowing, even to some degree. And I think that's what you're pointing to, and it's what they're all nodding about, is there's this inner universality, or inner mastery that's always been there, and for me, when I talk about alchemy, it's that inner space that is the pulse or the activator or the one that gives it oomph to move, calls it to move. So this is a center point of this vast expansiveness from that place. So, and I see you're nodding too. So yeah, it's a very different relationship, isn't it?
it is. And it's really honoring that we are individually and also as this sacred circle, we are pivot points of
Yeah.
exactly that evolution of consciousness.
Yes.
And like that's old news to you guys, but for most of the circles that I'm in, it's like, really? Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of nice to shift up things for me.
Well, one of the things that I've really noticed is we're beginning to own a different kind of power, which I call life power or creational power, or, how you could put many names to it, but it's not power over, or that it's a different, it is for life, and it's well springs from us if we allow ourselves to come to that orientation of ourselves. And it's that ability to pulse that power or to activate it for movement, for becoming. Um, I happen to believe that the future of this world is glorious beyond compare. And I know there's not everybody in the world would think that at the moment, but because we are who we are, because we are doing what we do, and there's so many of us, millions, maybe even billions around the world doing these things, these creations and owning new levels of ourselves, consistently evolving ourselves, that I know that the world is in good hands. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Bobby just said, I'm blown away by the shared vocabulary with you. Inner well springs are part of my daily. I didn't see the rest of it. Yes. Yeah. And I would say we all kind of feel that way, don't we? It comes naturally to us in a way. Okay. Anything for anybody else? 'Cause then I'm going to have us do one last piece before we wrap. Yeah, Centauri, go for it. Centauri is my husband, for those who don't know that.
So I chose a starting point, which says there's an awareness. We have an awareness. Some people may have an awareness of themselves and of the world in general. But the way I conceive of things is that there's an awareness of something that is of a beauteous presence, sometimes latent in all forms of life, but that you can call that presence more alive itself.
Yes.
So, in that respect, each one of us is a powerful presence
Yeah.
of unknown proportions and contributions. And how we perceive each other is not upon what we see visually or hear the language being spoken or sense or know in some way what is being transmitted and communicated, but dealing with something which is about the fabric that we don't really know about quite yet. A fabric of something which we might call reality, but I would choose a different way of expressing it. If we weren't, say, for a moment, human beings, knowing ourselves as human beings, how would we know of ourselves? What terms would we use to talk about ourselves as these amazing creative pulses of whatever? Well, you would have a sort of a feeling, perhaps. It's almost like you would just know that with your command, with your knowing, with your pulse of movement, you can create a world full of such sentiency and incredible self-awareness of itself and of all the life that populates it, that you wouldn't criticize it in any way whatsoever. You would just be filled with the awe of the wonder of the creative presence that you have brought forth. And I think if we bring some of that to our contribution as humans, in quotes, we are on a different order of being able to communicate with all the life that is here. We talk about it in intelligence, but really we're talking about it in a very loose way. Sort of like the intelligence that we might think people have is almost, that's an immeasurable thing. But we're actually bestowing something with our looking and our knowing and our understanding, which is so much greater that it cannot be measured. So the world that you might see is full of war and strife and chaos and grief, etc., doesn't exist. It is nowhere in any place in this fabric that I'm talking about. It's like there's an awareness that we are touching in and dealing with and sort of like thinking about and considering putting some energy to. And it says, we are wild. Really, we are completely wild. We are dealing with something that has already been created by others, but that pales in significance to what is possible. When you put yourself to something, you want to create a world full of brilliance. You are the creator of tremendous magnificence. You, the power of life, transcending all forms of thought and of compassionate understanding of what life can be.
Mm.
You were just almost like blow the minds of people who want to have that in the world because you are suddenly starting to create so furiously and so passionately and so full of that awareness that that life sparkles in your knowing of it.
Mm.
And something arises in you which so fills the space of something which was wanting to have that touch, that knowing, that awareness,
Yeah.
that life possibility, that it becomes true. And that I think is where things really start to move. We're dealing in small ways here. We've got to really think we are vast. We are not just creators and source beings and thinkers of imaginative possibilities that we want to bring into reality. You've got to tap into that reality which is already so, in which you are already that force, in which you are bringing all of that knowing, that awareness, that feeling becomes present.
Yeah.
And that's when you sort of like hit the road running.
Let's ride that wave. Whatever you're getting, whatever is yours to do, let's just power up this brilliant, beautiful, wonderful world. Okay, here we go. Okay. Whew. You could feel when Sid started to talk, something was like rising. I feel it like, boom. And for me, it was all the way through this. Every time we've tuned in, I've had this sense of, especially something in people. I think it's already in nature and animals and whatnot, the earth, but something in people wants to emerge that's been waiting quite a long time to emerge. A fresh newness, a sense of newness in themselves, so like a whole other level of awakening, not just awaken, but to something really profoundly amazing of themselves. I would wish that for everyone in the world, that they knew themselves in that way. That's what I got. So anybody else want to share what you got for it? Oh, Bobby said new octaves of self. Yeah. Yeah, that matches what I was saying as well. Yeah. Colin, were you going to say something?
Yeah, yeah. This goes back to a book I think we may have all read, James Redfield's the Celestine Prophecy way back, you know.
Yeah.
And the vision I had of right at the end of the book, they were disappearing into into another reality, and then uh, if they lost their vibration, up, they're back again, and they got caught, and it's all terror or whatever's going on in the story. But the idea of disappearing is not the one. We're not. That's not what we here. We're not to do. We're not here
That's
to
right.
disappear.
We're
We're the
appearing.
ones bringing it in. It's
Yeah.
coming in through us,
Yeah.
and that's what I was getting there, especially when Santara was talking. Is this is it? This is ours to do is to bring it in,
Yeah.
and we bring it in by seeing it through our. We're the sort of source eyes, if you like. We're witnessing it, and it's not even like it has to travel through us.
Yeah.
We're observers of it arriving
Yeah.
because that's who we are.
Yeah.
That's the magic. That's the joy. That's the exuberance. That's the energy, the love of being.
You're so beautifully said, Colin. Bravo. I love that.
So Colin's new website, being, yes, something of being.
Well, yeah, I think I've already had one of those. My it's now Celestial Alchemy. That's, my new thing.
Fantastic. Anybody else before we go? Want to share anything? No. Okay. Oh, that was just awesome. I just love doing these things with all of you. And the more we all do this, the more there's an awareness that we have this capacity in us, especially collectively. We can do it ourselves, but when we do it collectively like this, it's so beautiful and so powerful. And I think it changes the dynamics of everything in the world. So there you go. Fabulous. Love ya. Thanks for being a part of it, everybody. Lots of love. Mwah. Bye.